evening. Here we are in December, and I have this lovely fireplace with a fire in it. I never had a fireplace in a house until we moved into this house, which was in 2013. As a child, it was probably something that I always dreamed about or hoped about or wanted to experience. And the only fire that we ever had inside a house that I could ever remember as a child is we had a black stove in the kitchen which we could actually cook on. And we only used it when the power went out. We didn't actually use it for heat that I can remember anyway. And maybe because we're just too poor, I don't really remember what we even had for heat back then. Other than I remember there was a big electric heater in the wall, and we spent most of our time in the living room when it was cold because that's where the heater was. We didn't have a heater in the rest of the house. And so you just dressed warmly and that was that. But in 2013, my whole family was here. We were gathered, my wife and I, and our 8 kids, and we actually sat around this fire in just a big half circle. And together we read from Luke chapter 2 in the Bible and read about the birth of Christ. And what a serene, awesome experience that was. It was all peaceful, quiet, with a gentle fire burning. The house, though, was actually freezing cold. So when we first moved here, the house had so many leaks in it, had so many air problems, that I spent most of our time, or I spent most of my time, just trying to stay warm, not really fix any structural issues. And so the warmest we were actually able to keep the house was 65 degrees above whatever the outdoor temperature was. When the temperature got down to like -14 outside, plus a wind chill factor, well, if you do the math, that means the warmest we were able to keep this house, and that was in this room, was 49 degrees. So the rest of the house was actually pretty cold. We just couldn't keep it warm. We finally were able to get a gas furnace, and that thing ran for 2 months straight, never shut off except for when I went to change the filter in it. And went 24 hours a day, 2 months straight, and we still weren't able to be that warm. The second floor, well, that was just a cold place to be. We actually spent most of our time here in this foyer because we were actually running a fire at the same time, and so if we wanted to get the chill off of our bodies, we'd come into this room and warm up. We even had some people over on New Year's Eve that year, and what we did is we set up a big projection screen in this room, and I can remember everybody watching the movie on that big screen in his room on that day, because once again that was the only warm room in the house. But nevertheless, that was a memory, it was a story to tell. So I'm not really complaining. It was just an experience that we had. And growing up as a child, there were probably similar experiences, and I actually don't think I ever felt cheated as a child. I know that we were probably considered dirt poor, and even being married, there's been times in my life where I didn't have anything or much to speak of, other than we had a roof over our head and we had clothes on our back and some food to eat. And ultimately, a fire does not make a house a home. It may make it pleasant, but it doesn't make a house a home. But I certainly remember and do enjoy having a fireplace, and for as long as it lasts. And there may come a day when we can't afford to live here. I get sick, get old, get cranky, don't have any money, and so we have to go someplace else that doesn't have a fireplace. But if you have one, you might as well enjoy it while you got it. And that's my Christmas story about having a fire, the first time experience a fire with a fireplace in our house.